It's not safe at all. It's about to blow up. No, it's about to give me time to go for. And it would shine like a second sun in the sky. It could happen tomorrow or during this show. The red star Betelgeuse, which is at the shoulder of the constellation Orion, suddenly became 250% brighter, as seen by the James Webb Telescope. People are excited about a rare show because of this strange behavior. Some people think that the sudden increase in light could mean that Betelgeuse is getting ready to explode as a supernova, but no one knows for sure when it will happen. Some experts think it might happen soon. Come with us as we explore the depths of space and try to figure out what this huge star is hiding. The star Betelgeuse could change the way we think about the world. Even though not many people know its name, you've probably admired how bright it is. A reddish radiance shining brightly at the shoulder of Orion, a well-known constellation. It's hard to believe how big Betelgeuse is. If you put it in the middle of our solar system, its outer surface would reach past Jupiter's orbit. We are still amazed by this huge star that is easy to see. Because it is so close to our galaxy, Betelgeuse changes over time in a way that can be seen. It is a semi-regular variable star, which means that its brightness changes slowly as it moves toward a supernova explosion. Betelgeuse has become even more interesting in recent years because its brightness has changed in strange ways. One of these changes was a big one on May 20th, 2023. A Twitter account that scientists were using to track Betelgeuse reported an amazing 142% rise in brightness, and then a more current update said it had gone up by 150%. An astronomer from the Harvard-Smithsonian Center for Astrophysics named Andrea Dupree says that Betelgeuse is now the 7th brightest star in the night sky, 3 spots higher than it was before. From the south hemisphere, Betelgeuse is easy to see at the shoulder of the constellation Orion in the early evening sky. Astrophysicist Dr. Sarah Webb from Australia's Swinburne University of Technology talks about how important Betelgeuse is. It's a rare chance to see the last few days of a huge star's life, which can teach us a lot about how red giants behave before they explode as supernovae. When Betelgeuse finally blows up, it might be very bright for a week, making it possible to see shadows at night. Both amateur astronomers and expert astronomers are very excited about this possibility. Heidi Morris, a scientist at Los Alamos National Laboratory and president of the Padaro Astronomers and Astronomy Club, talks about how fascinating it is that Betelgeuse's brightness changes over time. People from many countries have been observing this phenomenon for hundreds of years. Betelgeuse's light cycle lasts about 130 days right now, which is a lot less than its normal 400-day cycle. Astronomers can study this stellar event in great detail thanks to these fast changes, which put light on the last stages of a star's life. After forcing a chunk of its outer atmosphere out into space in 2019, Betelgeuse started acting in a strange way. Betelgeuse doesn't usually have these changes in light, which makes people wonder if it will explode into a supernova. If Dupree and other experts from Harvard and the University of California, Berkeley write a paper, it will be another 5 to 10 years before Betelgeuse goes back to its normal 400-day brightness cycle. When it comes to its light and radial speed, Betelgeuse has changed since the Big Dimming. Betelgeuse is still a huge red supergiant star in the last stages of rapid evolution, even though it acts in unpredictable ways. When the core runs out of fuel, its huge mass will cause it to fall, which could cause a supernova explosion that can be seen from other galaxies. It's not clear when this event will happen. Dr. Grover, an associate professor of astronomy at the University of Portsmouth, said that it is still hard to predict supernovae because there isn't a lot of information about past events and the growth of stars is very complicated. Betelgeuse is going through fusion processes right now, moving slowly through elements like helium, carbon, oxygen, silicon, and iron. Along with being a red giant star, it turns helium into carbon in its core over a very long time. In the end, it will fuse heavier elements until it can't keep up the fusion processes anymore. This will cause it to collapse under its own weight, which could create a black hole or a neutron star. Some people think that Betelgeuse is about to explode, but records show that it has been getting redder over the last 2,000 years, which means it might be a while before it goes supernova. According to NASA, Betelgeuse probably won't burst for another 100,000 years. This means that it probably won't happen in our lifetimes. Even though there is a lot of doubt, scientists are still interested in Betelgeuse's behavior, and it has led to new discoveries about how stars evolve. Even though it's unlikely that we'll see Betelgeuse explode in our lives, Dr. Sarah Webb reminds us to stay open to the possibilities. Keeping an eye on how it changes could lead to more scientific finds. This serves as a reminder to never give up hope for finding new things in the universe. It is very important to know that the light we see from Betelgeuse is over 600 years old, so what we see is really a look into the past. It's possible that Betelgeuse has already burst, but we wouldn't know about it yet. This is a possible outcome, but it's not a given. Through history, we can see that our ideas about science can be wrong. Before 1987, scientists thought that supernovae could only happen in red supergiants. But that year, a giant blue star in a different galaxy exploded, which shocked the scientific community. We still have a lot to learn, and things may surprise us. By keeping an eye on Betelgeuse and other big stars, we can learn more about how stars work. Even though there hasn't been a big blast, Betelgeuse's behavior right now is fascinating. Its movement back and forth between fading and flaring shows interesting physics. It's amazing that stars pulse on timescales that humans can understand. Based on its normal 400-day cycle, Betelgeuse is much stronger than expected right now. There is hope that it will eventually return to this cycle, even though it's having a hard time doing so right now. New findings make it seem like Betelgeuse may be in the late stages of the core carbon-burning process, or very close to the end. At this stage, carbon is changed into stronger elements like magnesium and oxygen. If this is true, experts say that within a few tens of years, the core could break, which would lead to a supernova explosion. But it's still hard to say what stage of growth Betelgeuse is in, and there are still a lot of unknowns. We might not be able to see the explosion of Betelgeuse during our lives. The carbon-burning phase can last up to 1,000 years, and the study that says an explosion is about to happen has not yet been accepted for release. But the thought of Betelgeuse going supernova is exciting. It would be a once-in-a-lifetime event that could be seen during the day for weeks. Neutrinos will sweep over Earth as high-energy photons escape from the growing cloud of stellar debris. These will be the first subtle but clear signs that the supernova is coming. Betelgeuse will slowly get brighter in the night sky, and in just 1 week it might be 10,000 to 100,000 times brighter than it normally is. This amazing show will amaze anyone who gets to see it, and it will go down in astronomy history as a major event. The explosion of Betelgeuse could have left behind a single point of light as bright as a quarter or half of a full moon. Surprisingly, this brightness could be seen during the day, and at night, it would make beautiful shadows. It could be anywhere from 15 to 250 times brighter than Venus, which is the second brightest star in the night sky right now. Astronomers would be mesmerized by the sight of Betelgeuse's explosion for about 100 days, and it would give us a rare chance to see the effects up close. Luckily, Betelgeuse's supernova wouldn't be dangerous to people because it's still a long way away. With binoculars and telescopes, we could watch the game for a long time without getting hurt. But someone would have seen such a stunning event. In the past, supernovae were often seen as bad signs, and Betelgeuse's death could cause interesting responses around the world. Astronomers think it might even spark a broad interest in astronomy, waking up a whole society of people who don't know much about it. In our galaxy, Betelgeuse isn't the only red supergiant. Edi Carini and other stars may shine brighter before it does. Our galaxy, the Milky Way, should have a supernova about every 50 years, but we haven't seen one in 400 years. However, we've seen remnants of past explosions, which suggests that a truly amazing cosmic event is coming. It will only be a matter of time before the next star shines brightly for everyone to see. The Great Dimming in the fall of 2019 is just one of many important events in Betelgeuse's past. Astronomers were confused by this never-before-seen drop in light, which made them think that it might explode. Even though Betelgeuse's brightness went back to normal by April 2020, no one knew why it had become less bright until more studies shed light on the problem. Skywatchers can see Betelgeuse from their own yards, which helps science learn more about it. But telescopes like the Hubble help scientists learn more about the star and how it changes in important ways. People are interested in Betelgeuse's fading and possible explosion because they find it interesting. Worldwide, because it would be the closest supernova ever seen by people. It will be a beautiful astronomical event that people will remember for a long time. Betelgeuse is a very big star that doesn't last as long as our sun. Betelgeuse will definitely go through a supernova at some point. Depending on the matter that is left over after the explosion, it will either turn into a neutron star or a black hole. However, a lot of astronomers say that we shouldn't instantly blame a supernova event for Betelgeuse's dimming. They think that more normal things, like the action of convective cells or the presence of a dust cloud, might be to blame. Astrophysicist Miguel Montargue from the Paris Observatory led a group that used the Very Large Telescope in Chile's Atacama Desert to take high-resolution pictures of Betelgeuse. These pictures put light on the Great Dimming. These pictures, which were taken between January and December 2019 and January and March 2020, showed what caused the fading event. The group came to the conclusion that the event was probably caused by activity in convection cells in the presence of a dust cloud. Detailed pictures clearly showed that the lower left part of Betelgeuse was getting much darker. This change didn't happen much during the observation time. This led to the conclusion that the dimness was likely caused by a cloud of dust that came from Betelgeuse's surface erupting very large. A huge amount of mass was thrown out by this event, much more than what is usually seen in stars like our Sun during coronal mass ejections. Scientists think that this eruption might have been caused by a cloud of gas bubbling up from inside Betelgeuse, which was helped by the star's normal pulsation cycle. Scientists have been very interested in Betelgeuse's recovery from the Great Dimming, but they still don't know the exact cause or method. More research and computer simulations show that the decrease in Betelgeuse's brightness was caused by a cloud of dust that partly blocked its southern region. This finding was backed up by computer simulations and detailed pictures taken before and after the dimming. It was clear from more than 10,000 simulations that this scenario fit the facts the best. The answer given by Montargue and his team, backed up by careful observations and computer simulations, has given us important new information about the strange dimming of Betelgeuse. Astrophysicists like Meredith Joyce from the Space Telescope Science Institute in Baltimore, Maryland, were sure that this answer was correct. This shows how important it is to keep studying and observing to fully grasp the complicated nature of stellar events. Astronomers know that Betelgeuse dims about every 425 days, a process that causes it to temporarily lose about a quarter of its light. During this time, it is usually one of the 10 brightest stars in the sky. But in 2019, astronomers were shocked to see Betelgeuse's brightness drop by an unheard of 2/3. This change could be seen with the human eye. This big dimming was linked to a big event in 2019. Betelgeuse had a major explosion that blew off a lot of its visible surface. This event caused a huge surface mass release, which doesn't happen very often in stars and was the main reason why the light was getting dim. The gas and dust that were thrown out were about 400 billion times bigger than a normal coronal mass ejection. They messed up Betelgeuse's internal forces, which is like taking a piece of material off of something that is spinning, which made the star move in a rough way. Because Betelgeuse's core and stability are still healing from this event, it acts in strange ways, such as by bouncing or oscillating inside. These studies tell us a lot about how red stars lose mass as they get close to the end of their lives and might explode as supernovae. However, astronomer Andrea Dupree stresses that Betelgeuse's recent behavior does not always mean that a supernova explosion is about to happen. She has been putting together information from many places, like NASA's Hubble Space Telescope and other telescopes, to figure out what is going on with this old star that seems to be acting strangely. The huge amount of mass that was thrown off of Betelgeuse's surface, which was seen for the first time, messed up its normal 400-day pulse cycle, which shows how strong the explosion was. The star's surface is still changing as it goes through a regeneration process, even though the top layers look like they are back to normal. Scientists say it's like a wobbly gelatin treat, which means it's still unstable. This event is important because it has never happened before. Scientists have never seen such a large part of a star's visible surface being blown away. It means that surface mass ejections might be very different from coronal mass ejections that are seen in stars like the Sun. Betelgeuse has been interesting to people for thousands of years, capturing the attention of people from all over the world and showing how interesting astronomical events can be over time. Betelgeuse, which is also written as Betelgeuse, has fascinated people for thousands of years, both because of its scientific importance and because of its role in many cultures, stories, and myths. People from more than 2,000 years ago, like the Egyptians and Greeks, wrote about Betelgeuse and talked about how it changed over time. In Egyptian astrology, Betelgeuse was part of the constellation Sausage, which was named after their god of the underworld. Its Arabic name, Al-Jazza, which means the giant's shoulder, comes from the fact that it looks like Orion. It's interesting that the star's color may have changed over time. Writings from long ago say that it may not have been red like it is now. Aboriginal Australians also knew a lot about how the light of Betelgeuse changed over time and other things that happened in the sky. Their oral histories, which go back more than 65,000 years, tell us a lot about the past of astronomy and show how good they were at observing things. Astrophysics became a separate field after the finding of Betelgeuse's variability, which went against the long-held belief that stars stay the same. Betelgeuse is now known as a semi-regular variable star with a longer cycle than most stars, which makes it even more interesting. Even though people have studied Betelgeuse and the world it lives in for thousands of years, there is still a lot to learn. Its story reminds us of how little we know about the universe and how we are still trying to figure out its secrets.